Jessica de Bazoye in the newsroom. If Rome's burning, well, it's proving to be a slow burn. The Italian Prime Minister winning a routine vote in Parliament Tuesday, but only because the opposition abstained. His top coalition partner calling this Tuesday on Il Cavaliere to step down. Silvio Berlusconi feeling the heat, you could say, from three circles. There's the politicians in Italy, the markets, which continue to drive up the cost of Italian bonds, and from the rest of Europe. Brussels and the Franco-German couple that motor the EU openly weighing in, not just on Italy, but also Greece, as G20 leaders looked on bemused at the Cannes summit last Friday. Is Europe, in effect, pushing regime change in Athens and Rome? Are the French and Germans right to pile on the pressure? We're going to look at the dynamics of the Merkel-Sarkozy couple in the light of the EU's worst ever crisis. Today, in the France 24 debate, whose Europe is it? And we'll be talking about it with France 24 Europe editor Christophe Robit. Thanks for being with us. From Marseille, Carlo Alberto Brusa, attorney, who's an Italian attorney, former candidate at the in the general election back in 2006 for Berlusconi's Forza Italia party at the time. Thank you for being with us. And we'll be joined shortly by Italian Senator Lucio Malan of Berlusconi's PDL party, and caught in Paris traffic is Raquel Garrido of the Party of the Left, Le Parti de Gauche, here in France. Now, the debate on France 24, which you can follow on Facebook and also on Twitter, where our handle is at François F24. Now, before we broach the topic of Europe, let's take a closer look at the developments out of Italy, where after 3 stints as prime minister, it really does look like the beginning of the end of the road for 75-year-old Silvio Berlusconi. He's been meeting with the Italian president. The latest nail in the coffin coming earlier on Tuesday from coalition partner Umberto Bossi, the head of the Northern League.
Will you ask Berlusconi to step down?
I've asked him to step aside.
To step?
Sideways.
And what's going to happen?
Nothing today.
Angelina Alfano for Premier?
If not him, who else should we put in?
All right, Carlo Alberto Brusa, when do you see Silvio Berlusconi stepping down? Oh, we'll try to get through to Carlos Alberto Brusa shortly. Christophe Robit, we see that we've written off Berlusconi before in the past. This time it really does look like the end.
It's different. You're right. Silvio Berlusconi is used to votes against him or in favour of him in Parliament. As a matter of fact, he faced more than 50 votes throughout his career that were said to be crucial. But this one is different because, as you mentioned, he's not only fighting against politicians, he's fighting against the market, he's fighting against also his European counterparts. I think the pictures from the G20 were very clear. In Cannes, Mr. Berlusconi was considered by Sarkozy, Merkel, Lagarde and everybody as a liability for Italy, for a very simple reason. Italy is the third largest economy in the Eurozone. Silvio Berlusconi has been unable to push the reform he promised for earlier, and this is creating, of course, a lot of problems within the Eurozone.
Christophe, you were at that EU summit a while back where it really came to a head and it turned into this open row a few weeks ago.
Yes, it was a very tense summit, although, of course, leaders try to play that down. But when you were at the council building in Brussels, it was very clear that there was a lot of tension, not only between Angela Merkel and Nicolas Sarkozy. They always try, and quite successfully, I should say, try to hide that. But it was clear that at the time there was a lot of pressure on Silvio Berlusconi. The consequence of that was the decision at the G20 last week to put Italy under the monitoring not only of the European Commission but of the IMF. And I think we should not play down this. This was a very humiliating moment for Silvio Berlusconi, the third largest economy in the Eurozone, being monitored by the IMF, by the European Commission, a clear sign that Angela Merkel and Nicolas Sarkozy no longer trust his ability as a leader to push for reforms, and they hope, I guess, that reports coming from Brussels and from New York will, in that respect, put enough pressure on Berlusconi.
All right, perhaps we can go now to Rome and Lucio Malan. Thank you for joining us here in the France 24 debate. We heard at the outset there the words of Umberto Bossi. Your reaction? When do you see Silvio Berlusconi leaving power?
Well, I think that he has to take an important decision now. The suggestion of Umberto Bossi is important. Is an instrumental ally of this government, and I think he has to take it in great account. Unless he's able to gather a majority on his name, and at this moment it seems quite unlikely.
What's your prediction? How much longer will Silvio Berlusconi be in power? Is it a question of hours, days, weeks?
It depends on what happens after his possible resignation. If the choice will be to have new elections, he might stay in power exactly as Mr. Zapatero is doing in Spain, as long as the elections are held, and after the elections a new government will be appointed and voted. Instead, if the decision is to have a new government before election instead of elections, he most probably won't be the prime minister in a matter of very few weeks. I would rather say days.
Lucio Malan, Italian bond rates again this Tuesday hitting a record high, getting closer and closer to 7%. That was the level at which the Portuguese and the Greeks called in the IMF. Would you say that Silvio Berlusconi's fate hangs on the chart of the Italian 10-year bond yield?
I think that markets, we all know that markets need something that is sure. They don't like uncertainties. And certainly in these days we are providing a lot of uncertainties. So this crisis, this political crisis, must be solved very soon, and that will be a relief for the markets.
So you're in effect saying that if Silvio Berlusconi steps down, that will lift that uncertainty.
You are saying so. Of course, that would be a way to get rid of uncertainties. The other way would be to have a viable majority to be able to implement the things that we have already passed into law last August, or the new things that we are about to pass in these days.
All right, let's bring in Carlo Alberto Brusa into this discussion. Carlo Alberto Brusa, your thoughts on what you just heard from Lucio Malan. Can Silvio Berlusconi hang on and lead a caretaker government?
Hi, I am in Marsiglia, and I have with my phone. It's not easy to understand what to say. I don't understand. Repeat your question, please.
Do you see Silvio Berlusconi at this point hanging on?
Yes. I see, and it's a very special moment, an historical moment in Italy. This afternoon, I think, is the end of history, and Italian people, Italian Parliament is obliged now to choose and to change, because in Europe, all people, all government wait that something change, some political situation. The political situation in Italy change. Now it's not possible to wait another week, another month. It's not possible.
Christophe Robit.
François, you were asking whether the markets would be reassured if Mr. Berlusconi left power. Well, it's certainly the signal they sent yesterday. There were rumors spread by very trustworthy and reliable sources in Italy saying that Mr. Berlusconi was about to resign instantly. The markets, not only in Italy but across Europe, had a very positive reaction. So that is, of course, I know that political life shouldn't be dictated by the markets, but what we see is that the markets, yes, they responded very positively to the prospect of Mr. Berlusconi leaving the political scene, probably hoping that a person like Mario Monti...
And then they went back into the red, by the way, when it turned out that Berlusconi said he was hanging on.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I think what the markets want at this stage is somebody with a vision for Italy, because when you look at Italy's economy, the deficit of Italy is extraordinarily low, 3.6%. That's much lower than the European average. There is a problem with the debt, which has been there for quite a long time. It's not new. It's not like we've discovered that Italy's debt stands at 120%. The problem really is a lack of reform, a lack of growth. But there is a potential. There is a large network of SMEs, small and medium companies. Italy has a vibrant economy. I think we need somebody who will once and for all reform the country and foster growth. In Italy is not Greece. Italy has a lot of potential. I think investors all agree on that.
Yes, but the most problem for me in Italy is only political problem. It's not economical. We have every resource to change and to answer of the European markets. In Italy, today is 1 year that it's impossible to make something else, to change the situation, economic situation, to choose, to make the new law about economy is impossible because the situation is only Berlusconi life, and all people is or with Berlusconi or against Berlusconi. Nobody think about new way for the economical, political way for the Italian people. Today, the law to urgent what is necessary
monopolized about over his personal life.
I'm sorry, absolutely. Only the problem that it's impossible now to make a new election. It's on the way is a new government, technical government, because it's impossible that we make a new election next month before the end of this year. It's necessary then for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months a technical government with the possibilities to make the transfer of the situation of the new and to answer of the question that they for the European economical question for the FME is necessary that this the technical government. After it's possible in February, March, as Greece, that the new elections are due. Okay. Because now, if we make a new election tomorrow,
let me bring in Lucio Malan on this and just get his reaction quickly to all of this. Would you say that Silvio Berlusconi's personal life ultimately is what's brought Italian politics to a standstill at this point?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I don't think that this has nothing to do with Berlusconi's personal life. And I think that is a political decision. I think that the resignation of a prime minister elected by the people almost directly, although our constitution doesn't have a direct election, but the people who voted for Berlusconi's party knew very well that would vote for him as prime minister, is not a subject of a private life. It's a political subject that must be dealt with as so. And I think that he will solve this problem politically in the next days or in the next hours. We need those measures, but I have to remind that we have already passed many measures in the last years, and namely in August we passed new laws that reduced the deficit by 60 billion. So we have been able to take decisions. Now the past is past. We have to think of the future, of the very near future, and we need to pass those additional measures, and we have to pass them. Whether Berlusconi
But hang
is
on,
still
if
in
you're
power
saying that
or
you've
is
passed,
not.
hang on a second. You say you've passed difficult decisions, and yet we heard on Monday the European Commission ask for answers in writing for promises that they feel had not been fulfilled.
I think that, no, it was not put in that way. It was not promises that haven't been fulfilled. It is new measures that are needed, and those measures were in a letter that has been sent, I think, 10 days ago. And these letters, the subjects of this letter, the content of this letter must be passed into law very soon, and that is, I perfectly agree. But you cannot speak about promises not kept.
All right, the French foreign minister pointing to the issue of the promises still to be kept and to those bond rates earlier this Tuesday, when he came as close as you can get to calling for Berlusconi to resign. Take a listen.
When lenders raise interest rates, it means they don't have confidence. I hope that Italy will be able to restart on a healthy basis. I'm not judging Mr. Berlusconi, but I think there's a problem of confidence.
He's not passing judgment. We're pleased to be welcomed by Raquel Garrido. Did you understand just there that he's asking for Berlusconi to step down?
Yes, this is absolutely crazy. Governments are calling in other prime ministers from other countries to be summoned. We're putting foreign countries on bail. I mean, what is this all about? It's about austerity plans, austerity measures that are not working, will not bring stability, will not bring wealth. If you look at what happened in Argentina, we've talked about this yet and again, the austerity measures do not calm the markets down. That's not what happens at the end. What happens at the end is that the government falls. In Argentina, at the end of December 2001, when the IMF finally did not give the money was supposed to give, well, five presidents fell in 10 days. And after that, what happened? First of all, the government said, okay, stop the austerity plans. We will not give any money back ever to the banks if we're dying of hunger. So we need to get our condition back, start putting life and activity into the country. So first of all, stop the austerity plans. Second, well, we're not going to pay 100%
so that statement by Alain Juppé is inappropriate.
Totally inappropriate. It will come. The day will come when our ministers from France will be called in to Brussels to be told that we need more austerity measures, and then we'll see how the people react.
All right, when we come back, we're going to look at some of the other statements we've been hearing regarding not just the Italian Prime Minister, taking a look at how the politicians are twisting arms, this in the face of the worst crisis for the euro and Europe over the past few decades. Stay with us. You're watching the France 24.